Hello and welcome to the Pain-Free Living podcast, and my name's Bob Allen and I am your host. This is the first episode of the Pain-Free Living podcast, and I just wanted to give you a taster of what you can expect in future episodes. I will be having a couple of co-hosts as well who will be asking me questions as if they were you. So well done and thank you for finding the Pain-Free Living podcast. The fact that you found it means that you may be in pain or there's something in the title that resonated with you, and that is a good thing, because if you are in pain, you want to avoid pain, you've had pain in the past and you don't want it coming back, then you're in the right place, because that's what this podcast is all about. I'm an osteopath. I had 20 years in IT, and then I saw the light and became an osteopath, graduating in 2011. And I've been helping people to get out of pain and do the best that I can to get them living pain-free since then. So that's a little bit about me. So what you're really interested in is what the podcast is all about. Well, the name really is in the title, but just to give you an idea of why it came about, I've been producing a newsletter for my clients since 2017. And that was getting more and more popular. I get generally around a 50% open rate every time the newsletters go out. And that's around just over 300 people. So I get good feedback, and I thought, well, okay, how can I get this to more people? Because, people are finding this stuff interesting. And I hear that podcasting, this thing that you're looking at now, I hear that's going to be quite popular and get even more popular. And that seemed like a good medium to spread the message. That's what really this podcast is all about. It's about giving you ideas about why you may be in pain, what may be causing the pain, and what you can do about it. Some of the topics I've covered in the past include things like the myth of low back pain. That was quite a popular one. Now, if you Google low back pain, then it's going to come up potentially with hundreds of millions of options about what low back pain is, together with 5, 7, 10 exercises for you to do that will help get rid of your back pain. Now, what it doesn't mention is that there's probably around 25 to 30 different causes of back pain. Actually, there's more than that, but that's kind of a conservative number. And if you do it with the wrong exercises, that may cause you more pain. It won't be anything major, but it's just to say that there are no 5 ideal exercises that will get rid of your back pain, because there's so many different causes of it. So what I cover are things like, does going to the gym cause back pain? Actually, no. As long as you know what you're doing, you've been shown how to do the exercises, going to the gym, absolutely perfect. And there's other things that we cover as well. Sciatica, for example. Sciatica is a general term that means irritation of the sciatic nerve. It doesn't give you any clues as to what's causing the sciatica, and won't necessarily help you to resolve the problem. So I go into sciatica a little bit, some of the causes of sciatica, and what you can do about it. Another thing that I cover is something called hypermobility. Hypermobility is what's commonly known as being double jointed. And while around 30% of the population has hypermobility and have no issues at all, a very small percentage of the population can have a number of issues caused by hypermobility. They can potentially have been in a situation where they dislocate a shoulder or a rib or other joints because they are so flexible that these things can happen. Being hypermobile, the extreme end of hypermobility, can cause digestive problems, can cause heart issues. If you're immune to anesthetics, if you go to the dentist, they give you an injection, it doesn't work, and you're still in pain, then that's another potential side effect of being hypermobile. So I go into things like that. I also have done an episode that covers fibromyalgia, and fibromyalgia is something that's been around for a long time. As the research moves on, there's different diagnoses for what fibromyalgia is. It was reviewed in 1999. The latest review of diagnosing fibromyalgia came out in 2016. But there are a lot of people in the NHS that are still using the 1999 definition. So I cover a little bit about that, how having an up-to-date diagnosis of fibromyalgia is really, really important, and also cover things like tips and things on how to manage fibromyalgia, because there's no cure for it, but there are different ways that you can manage fibro and get back to a not necessarily pain-free existence, but at least one with less pain. Those are the kind of topics that we'll be covering. I will also be looking at things like a TENS machine, for example. Now, a few of my clients have been using TENS machines and they've said, well, I've tried it, it didn't work. The thing about TENS machines is it depends. If you stick to the presets on a TENS machine, then it may not work. But if you kind of play around with some of the settings, then you can get it to work. So we cover things like that as well. Another thing that we'll be covering is the difference between an osteopath, a physiotherapist, and a chiropractor. I get asked that question a lot and I find myself repeating it. So I thought, if I do a podcast on it, then I can just point people to the podcast and it'll save me having to explain it. We're going to be covering an awful lot of topics, and one of the things that I'm quite keen on as well is getting some input and feedback from you guys. So if you've got a topic that you want me to cover, send me a message. I'll add it to the list and hopefully we'll get around to covering it at some point, because I've got a lot of other things that I want to cover as well, so it will go into that. But yeah, if you've got any questions or anything that you want to know about any of the topics that I've covered, then yeah, just drop me a line and I will get back to you on it as soon as I can. That kind of gives you a flavour of what we're going to be covering, and future plans are to get some guests on as well. So the idea is to get some people on that have got interesting stories to tell, whether they have a disability, how they've overcome some issue that have affected their lives. One of the things about pain, and particularly chronic pain that's been there for a long time, is that it can affect mental health as well as physical health. So one of my co-hosts is going to be a psychotherapist, and the plan is for us to talk about not just the physical effects of pain, but also do a little bit of a dive into the psychological effects as well. So that's one of the things that we'll be covering in the future. So if all of this sounds like the sort of thing that you are interested in, then why not subscribe on your favourite podcasting platform, tell your friends, and yeah, if you feel like you've got some benefit from the podcast, then leave us a review, because the more reviews that you give us, the more people we get to subscribe. That'll push us up a little bit higher in the rankings, and then more people will get to hear our message about pain-free living and how to live pain-free. So that's it for now, and I will see you in the next episode.